Welcome back to the race recap. I am Joe, and this is the #1 most streamed independent ski racing analysis show in the upper Midwest. We're very proud of that here. Brett, nice work. We are going to be getting into the Lech Zürs parallel event. It happened over the weekend. It was I would call it a moderately attended race by the top tier World Cup athletes. Michaela wasn't there, Petra wasn't there, Frederica Brigioni did not compete. So it was a little bit of a light field in that regard. However, we did have 3 Americans going. Paula Moltzen, who was second in this event last season, she did not have a great event. She looked off out there. She wasn't precise. It didn't seem like she was getting to her turns very cleanly. Just didn't quite have her A game, I would say. She had a start gate malfunction that was kind of unfortunate in her second run. She actually barged a little bit. She hit the board before it released, and then because she was pushing on the board, it looked like it didn't go down. It seems like these FIS gates are made so if you do barge, they're supposed to just release anyway, which to me seems kind of silly. A barge is a barge, and once you barge, you should have one fault, and then you should be DQ'd to keep the girls from doing this, because then it ended up being a problem for later girls who were also jamming their tips into the board before the green light and then having the board not go, and then they got reruns and took away from the event. It also just seems silly. Like, let's just make it nice and clean. A barge doesn't count. I don't know. Seems normal to me. Nina O'Brien looked all right out there. I don't know. She seemed off as well. And AJ Hurt also was out there racing. I believe she did the best of the American girls. Yeah, she was 26 in the qualifier. She looked pretty jacked up. Looked like she was fired up and ready to ski race, but just didn't seem to have it in the race itself. So not the best day out there for the American girls, but that's all right. They still look like World Cuppers. There was a lot of girls from a lot of teams who didn't have their A game out there. Maybe because the big stars weren't there. I don't know. Who did have their A game out there was Andreja Šlokar, Slovenian. She skis on Nordica. This girl caught my eye last season where, I forget which slalom it was, but it was a really tough snow condition slalom. And she absolutely torched a second run and made a big move up and then continued to throw down really, really fast runs from time to time on the World Cup circuit at the end of last season. Never really putting it together, and I don't even know if she got a top 10, but in this race, she started a little later in the qualifier, and boom, she qualified in second place. And from that point on, I was like, wow, she's going to be good the whole way. It did look like Louise Sjørsted Singersund was going to run away with it because she had 4/10 on all of the girls after the qualifier. However, Šlokar was better than her in the final, and that's Šlokar's first World Cup win. She even downplayed it after the race and was like, it doesn't count as a real World Cup, whatever. That is total BS. She went out there and she won a World Cup. The runs that Taylor Louise were throwing down early were phenomenal. That's her A game. That's her bread and butter. The Norwegians came into this thing looking good. They were clean. They were crisp. It shows here. I mean, Kristen Lisdahl was third. Marte Monsen, who the first time I've really seen her on the World Cup, another Norwegian. She's a 2000. She was 6th. She looked good. Competed strong out there. It was cool to see Lena Dürr from Germany have a good race because I really like her. She really guns hard. She doesn't always have the top end speed like the other girls, but she always battles back and then is competitive a couple of races a year, and I always like that about her. Tina Robnik was fast out there. Well, didn't mention Marta Bassino, 4th place. Nice to see her get back in a groove. However, for whatever reason, the better GS skiers, Marta Bassino and Laura Gut, didn't have the advantage out there in this race, probably because it was so short. But it was nice seeing Marta Bassino in 4th. You could see how bummed she was in the finish line getting 4th. So I like seeing a little fire from Bassino, and I'm psyched to see her in the next Real Deal GS. Sarah Hector skied great out there. Sarah Hector is a total gamer. maybe 2 years ago now, Sarah Hector should have won one of the lady slaloms. She was by far the fastest slalom skier on that day, and I think Michaela was in that race and healthy. And then the second run, she high-sided and went out. So Sarah Hector has some of that high-end speed that I like to see, and it's cool seeing her in an event like this out there competing, gunning with the big girls. She's one of those really happy people in the finish line too, so that's great. Austria, their top athlete was Stephanie Brunner in 9th. Who else we got in here? Laura Gut, 15th. You know, the big winner out there, other than Schlokar, who obviously won a World Cup, would be Michaela Schifrin. Because Laura Gut shows up to a World Cup event where she's not at, and you'd think, okay, Laura Gut can have her way with these other girls and just win this thing and get 100 points ahead of Michaela. However, 15th, I think that gives her 16 World Cup points on the day. Michaela's got to be sitting back, kicking her feet up, just laughing right now that she's rested up and ready to crush 2 wins in Levy. So, bummer for Laura, but I like seeing the top dogs out there, and that's another thing I really like about Laura Gut is she races in this shit. She doesn't take it off. Katerina Trupe, still waiting for her to find her best form again. Yeah, you know, it was kind of a dreary day out in the Arlberg region, where Lech Zürs is. It was that hill coming off the side of the village. Apparently, this is one of the craziest and most awesome places to visit and ski. However, I would not recommend visiting for this World Cup because it didn't look like any of the mountain was open, and it just looked kind of dreary and like a fall situation where there wasn't a lot of shredding. So, I'm going to Lech Arlberg later in the season when I get the opportunity. I'm going to watch this one from home. Thanks for watching. Stick around for the next one where I'll go over the men.